Right. Well, welcome to this week's edition of the Abundance Show. This is where we learn to. Yes, sorry. This is where we love ourselves into abundance. We take it away. Oh, okay. Sorry. I apologize. It's just there's noise in the background here. Right. So when we learn to love ourselves into abundance, and each week we have somebody new, somebody different, exploring the ways we can do it. Today we have Sharna X Lee from Me Corp Health. Welcome, Sharna.
Thank you very much, Susie. It's an absolute pleasure to be here on this beautiful Wednesday morning.
And we're going to be talking today about something that I'm only just learning about: biohacking your abundance. How we use our biology to expand our abundance. So this is really, really exciting. I'm going to introduce Sharna in a minute. As people come on, I can see there's a couple of people there. Just put your comments here. Say hi. Say where you're from, and enjoy what's going to be an amazing conversation. But what we do always when we start the show, and I've actually drawn a card for today, and I think this is we talked about expecting miracles, but the card for today is yes. And I think this ties quite well in with our biology, because this is about saying yes to you. So this is say yes to you, yes to your life, and yes to love. And watch your heart say thank you. So I'm now going to introduce the beautiful Sharna Lee, Sharna X Lee, sorry. And here we go. There we go. Right. Sharna is an international award-winning chef and self-published author of the Naughty but Nice cookbook. I love that. That is the word you've obviously made up. Is that right, Sharna?
Oh, naughty but nice. Spelling mistake,
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah, Naughty but Nice cookbook. She's a personalized health and behavioral change specialist, helping over 8,000 clients globally to amplify their genius and live their potential. She's a co-founder of Me Corp Health. Their Ignition program is set to be a corporate and entrepreneurial game changer. Welcome, Sharna.
Thank you, Susie. It's an absolute pleasure. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. I'm very well. I've just been to the beach, walking on the beach, getting the feet back in the sand. So I feel very grateful for things. I will just turn this down. So we get when I asked you what we were going to talk about, you said we were going to biohack our abundance. What does that actually mean?
Well, I think people go out there seeking outside of themselves, trying to achieve a certain status, trying to achieve a certain amount of success, which equals the abundance. But what we now know and what we've learned is that the key to unlocking our abundance and our abilities is actually by understanding our biology. There's a lot of many beautiful discussions out there around what abundance needs to look like. But ultimately, if we don't have our health, we don't have our wealth. They are so well interlocked. So what we do at Me Corp Health is help people to understand their biology, understand their biological vision, mission, purpose, gain the awareness of their biological strengths, and to be understood for who they really are, not having any societal dictations of what success or abundance or health or strength actually is, and also to have no judgment around that, because if it's not in your biology, then it's actually not yours.
So isn't that is fantastic? really fascinating, because what you're doing through your biohacking with your biology, I'm doing through my self-love program as well, because without, for me, without having that absolute abundance of love for yourself with no judgment and things, people are still looking outside there because they haven't gone inside. So this is what we're exploring here, very different ways that we come to abundance, but it all boils down to that thing of really having belief and faith in yourself and what you can do.
Absolutely.
Mm.
Absolutely. It's my business partner and I founded Me Corp Health in November last year, and sorry, December last year, and it really came from a space that the both of us had been working different roles in our life, as we all, most of the population have been, and quite frequently something was missing. And I myself was getting to this point where every 2 years I would end up in hospital. I was working multiple
Wow.
jobs, I was, making ends meet, doing my best. But ultimately, both of us were, or we found our way into a project together. And we'd been given the opportunity to understand the lens of biological strengths. But sadly, the corporate project we were working on together, it wasn't really assisting us in supporting our biology, and it just didn't feel right. And it was during that time that we realized that we shared the same vision for ourselves, to feel like we could have a work-life play balance, to experience the joy of living our potential by actually tapping into our unique and innate biological strengths. We both were being pulled along by someone else's mission that was not actually aligned to ours. And we're both living in someone else's schedule, having their creativity or having our creativity suffocated and our expressions disregarded. So we kind of found our purpose within that time, and realized that we got the perfect opportunity due to the global situation to create a company where our mission was to align our values of being accepted and celebrated for who we uniquely are and what we have to offer the world. And also to be able to feel the joy of being a part of a collective community where our creativity is actually cherished and our expression is fully welcomed.
Wow, so that's amazing. So this is, but isn't it interesting that out of often out of our own experiences of burnout, of overwhelm, I was interested when you said health, because my this whole not so much the abundance work, because I was doing that before, but the self love work for me came out of a near death experience when my kidneys collapsed and I had a 25% chance of living a normal life, I was told. I mean, I just said, yeah, I'm going to meditate. I'm going to use my law of attraction tools and I'm going home and healed. The specialists didn't think, they thought I was crazy. But that set me, and what I'd realized before was I was in overwhelm. And I think that's what happens. It's in this overwhelm and our health goes down that so often we find a new path to heal. And for both of us, it's given us new businesses.
Indeed, indeed,
Mm.
absolutely. Um, and I think this is the thing, right? So many of us are out there pushing ourselves to show up in certain ways. I mean, there's one thing I've said for forever is that the issues that we have shape our behaviors and our beliefs, fed by our behaviors and our beliefs also, but they also become issues in the tissues, and the body innately at some point says it's had enough and starts to express those things because we're not listening to the small little tap, tap, tap as it comes
I
along. We're not
love
listening to the
that.
gut
I just have
feeling.
to
We're
say,
not,
issues in your tissues. That is,
yeah.
I've got to write that down. That is so good. That
Mm.
we have issues in our tissues. And so that brings it down to the cellular level, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Energy is everything. Vibration and frequency are everything.
That is just so good. So when you talk about our biology, um, can you explain for the audience what I mean? How is it that people who think, oh, biology, that's something I did at school. That was the subject I studied at school. How does that? How do you help people with their biology tap into their abundance. Abundance in this case being, it might be our money, it might be our health, it might be our relationships, our creativity. It can apply to any area of our life. So many people think abundance is just about financial wealth, but I think it's about wealth in all areas of our life.
Absolutely. Oh, yes, you're correct. Absolutely. In Me Corp Health, we utilize a scientific platform that does most of the science work for us, because we utilize 15 different sciences and technologies with complex algorithms developed by our researchers that translate the distinct relationship between what our body looks like on the outside, so that's what we call our phenotype, and the person's genetic coding, which is what we call their genotype. And the gap between what you currently look like and the way you're living your life, and the way you do your phenotype, so the way it functions, and then how nature designed your body to look, which is your genotype, is the missing link between balancing your health and the information you actually need to align both your phenotype and your genotype. So basically, our genotype is what we are born with. The genes that we are born with they don't change. The DNA doesn't change. But what does change is your epigenetics, is another word. Give us a epi, if you heard of epigenetics, is the epigenetics is the epis above and around, basically. So
That's
your genes and everything
above and around, yeah.
above and around, everything above and around your genetics is what we call your epigenetic expression or interaction. So your genes won't change, but your environment will dictate which parts of the genes are going to turn on or are going to turn off.
Wow.
So you can have a gene for, say, let's go straight into it, a gene for, say, breast cancer could run in your family. And because your family has a belief that breast cancer runs in the family, majority of the family members have the breast cancer gene switched on due to the epigenetic belief environment around them saying that their breast cancer gene is switched on. If you were to be the one who endeavored to do the self-work and potentially started to break down those cycles, those epigenetic environmental factors, you could, and work on your health and understand what is your natural biological flow, not someone else's, not the 5 a.m. club, not the, hit training club.
That's very funny. Can I just jump in there, Sharna? That's very funny, because I was just talking to Des this morning about whether I would jump back on the 5 a.m. club. I hope that's interesting.
Well, I mean, ultimately, I'll come back to that. So our environment ultimately our biology ultimately holds the key. Understanding of the biology helps us to understand how to get to flow, because ultimately that's what we want. We know life has its ups and downs and its ebbs and its flows. That's natural. But it doesn't have to be jumping off the Grand Canyon. It can actually just be a smooth ebb and flow of our biology being turned on and off, and stimuli coming in and coming out, and our adaptation to the environment. But ultimately, I speak of frequencies all the time as well, is when negative frequencies, energies, environments are coming in all the time, it does affect our biology and our frequency. So in understanding that, we know that the outside environment has actually the hierarchy of how our biology and how our self expresses. So when we get to understand all of those moving components, which actually is now measurable, it actually is now effectively guided, we can now actually tap into quickly and effectively within half an hour. You can tap into the truth of all of that for yourself.
So that's amazing, and I think I'll tell the audience here. I did sign up for one of Sharna's, I think it was a 7-day thing or something, and I got busy. And I don't know whether I even filled the form in. I'm going to go back and check my email and see what's actually there, because I'm quite fascinated by how obviously this can affect your performance. So that then affects your how abundant you are in whatever area of your life you're working on.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and this is the thing, is everyone's out there trying on the newest thing. Everyone's seeking. the ability to feel empowered, to feel aligned, to feel seen and heard for who they are. Yet no one actually knows who they are because they're seeking these outside factors. They're seeking the fad or the template that suited someone else. And what we really stand for here is your uniqueness. So, Susie, when you said to me you hadn't done the program, I knew. I actually expected it because you are there's certain expressions that you have, and because I now read humans for every wonderful part that they are, there is no right or wrong. It's more just awarenesses of how different beings are playing out their physiology. And when I look at that, I go, of course you did. Like, because you are beautifully colorful, you are wonderfully creative, you are so abundant with options and things around you that draw your attention, that it's going to happen sometimes, and it's actually okay, because you are someone who is wonderfully capable at multitasking, and sometimes things slip away, but they come back when they need to.
Multitasking can be one of my challenges, actually, Sharna. It stops
Mm.
me actually staying on that. I haven't. Des has read it and he's told me about it. One mentor of mine said I needed to read The One Thing.
Mm.
And because I have a lot of, I suppose because I do so many different things, and I've just discovered this art here is my real passion.
Mm-hmm.
That it's about getting the balance. And I think that I like the fact you said I multitask and it's something I do. Maybe I should just keep doing it.
I would say, actually, I mean, anything. This is where I'm going to get really contradictory, and I'm welcome and opening to everyone's feedback and thoughts on this.
Right.
There is no one size fits all. Every single one of those things, the one thing, the 5 a.m. club, the keto, the paleo, the vegan, all these things, they work for someone at some point. They're not wrong, but they're not right for everyone. And that's a very clear message everyone needs to understand, is these were correct for someone at some point, but I guarantee you 98% of the people that created that are now actually not fully fledged. Most of them eventually got to the point of realizing their body, their biology could only take so much, and things had to change.
So does this help? This is just something that comes up for me, comes up for, I think, a lot of other people. And Sharna and I are actually doing, this is our break day. We are actually doing an amazing training at the moment. Sharna's volunteering.
I'm crewing.
She's crewing. That's right, the right word. She's crewing, and I'm actually participating in this with Jeffrey Slater, who I noticed was popped in here earlier, Sharna. So we're online. And Kate Gray. And we've just completed 4 days on speaker training, and we're about to go into 4 days on sales training starting tomorrow. And it's just been, I found it's been really amazing in getting that more much clearer about who I am and, what I'm doing. But it's interesting. This is a question for you. How can knowing your epigenetic profile, is that what it's called? A profile?
Mm-hmm.
How can this help the people who are still all looking outside and have that shiny ball syndrome affects their performance?
Everyone has it, unfortunately, in today's society, to some degree.
Social media, yes.
Yeah. Yep. Thank you, social media. But the truth is that we have a program that we run that helps people to understand their life purpose and align with it, along with their professional vision, along with their innate genius and their natural strengths. And it's really about initiating flow. And when we initiate flow, have you ever noticed when you're in flow? Has anyone ever felt like they're in flow and they're like, like today was like amazing, and this happened, that phone call happened, and then I ran into this person, and I got to go to the beach, and then I got to have this, and I did all my washing, and that flow state happens. And every human being can be, we're going to say categorized, and I'm only doing that, I'm really sorry, putting it there so that we can create a space of understanding the differences, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And every human fits somewhere within this 360-degree wheel of humanness, and it's categorized into 6 different portions of trends. And once we understand your unique biological strengths and where you sit in here, we can understand there are certain trends that you are going to be most common with. When we understand those trends and the time frames, there's 6 pillars of success that we implement within Me Corp Health. 6 pillars that cover your eating habits and foods and times, your fitness habits, styles and times. Because guess what? HIIT is actually not good for everyone. Then we go into understanding your mind.
That's very interesting because so what you're, because I don't like going, I mean, I have a gym where I live, but I'm not a gym person.
Mm-hmm.
But I love walking, and I have what I call Roxy, one of those vibrating machines for my bones and things. And that I'm comfortable with that and doing Qigong.
Would you say that you'd like to do dance and play and creative things and things that involve other people? Would that be more your style of fitness and play?
Yeah. For years I did yoga, so I'm still very flexible. I love dancing. Absolutely adore it.
Of course you do. Absolutely. That makes a lot of logical sense. That makes biological sense for me.
Right. Yeah.
So when we get through that, the fitness even comes down to, are you a morning person training or an afternoon person training? Do you want to be getting 80% effort for just 20% results? Or would you prefer to actually get 80% results for 20% effort here? That's with fitness and everything. Then we can move into your mind. How does your mind actually work? What gets your body, your mind into a state of flow? What's your mind powers? Then we go into understanding your social profiling. So how do you interact and integrate with everyone naturally? Not what you've learned, not your behavioural patterning.
Who you really are. Who's the expression?
What's your biological expression, and how do you receive people better? What are your perceptions of other people? Then we move into, so that's 4. Then we move into your, my mind's going to have a blank of perfect timing.
That's fine.
Mind, social. So we've gone food, fitness, mind, social, lifestyle. So your environment. Your environment, my friends. Who here has walked into your wardrobe and do this with me? Imagine you're walking into a wardrobe and there is chaos. It's everywhere. For some of you, that's going to be, so for some of you, that's going to be hilarious. But for some of you, that's actually going to cause you physical stress and mental stress, right? For some of us, if we're inside of a tiny box, at one point in my life, I worked in mining and we stayed in little, what I would call fridge boxes, and you're stuck in 4 walls. How do you think that affects your mind and your physical body? It wears you out. Exactly. You can't breathe. There's no fresh air. So your environment is one of the major pillars for every human as to what feels natural and in flow. The beach isn't the same. The beach doesn't affect everyone the same. There are people on here that would go, ugh, the beach. There are people on here that would go, ugh, the trees.
Yeah. For me, we were talking about that today. It's a choice we made when we left Sydney to come up here, and we've always lived near the beach. Not on the beach yet, but and that grounds me for the day. So
absolutely.
If I haven't been to the beach, which I haven't been this week until today, I do feel a bit out of sorts. There's just something about that.
Your environment.
We live near a river, and for a long while we lived near the Tweed River, and that I think is also very grounding and also creates that environment where you have breezes and it's Yet I was brought up inland in Canberra, our capital, in a very different, I actually knew what 4 seasons were like. But every year we went to the beach twice a year for holidays. And as a teenager, we always came up to Kira Coolangatta. So I have lived for the last 15 years where I holidayed as a teenager. So it's very interesting that I'm really drawn more to the water. I mean, I love deserts as well, but
I can share a quick story on that if you want, which would create a bit of relevance. Is I myself was a New South Walian born, and then when I was very young, we moved to South Australia. Now, I grew up in my teenage years in South Australia, and I thought that, I was just a typical prepubescent and teenager and then young adolescent, and I thought, I was just being anxious and depressed and moody, and, I thought that I was just being one of those moody teenagers. And it's not until I left in 2009 and moved by myself to Queensland, and it's like when I landed, it was like coming out of this whole new planet, and I was like, what is this? What's going on? Like, I feel so different. What? And at that point, I was like, wow, like life is actually pretty amazing, actually. And I found this whole new thing. It wasn't until I started studying this and moving into this modality, I understood that red dirt, grey saltbush, and small trees is actually quite depressing for my biology.
Right.
Luscious, green, slightly tropical. New South Wales is actually the best environment for my biology, funnily enough. I've crossed the New South Wales border and it feels like home. But here in Queensland is just really wonderful. So your environment will dictate your abundance and flow and your growth more than people realise.
That's amazing. I'm very conscious of that because I think if we're sensitive to things, we're aware of that. And what's number 6, Sharna?
Number 6 is your biological genius. So, who here loves working all day long on a computer? Who loves to smash out hours upon hours upon hours of work? Just do the thing with no distractions. Not many of you, I'm sure, right?
No.
Some of us, the 4-hour working week legitimately was perfect for the majority of us. But there are actually specific humans who love to be at their work station, to be on their mission with no distractions, achieving the successful goals, getting from point A to point B, ticking off that list and hitting the dopamine, the receiving the stimuli hormone within themselves of success. That's their ultimate like gathering party would be like a bunch of friends with all their laptops and they're all doing their work together. That's one group of 6. Now, some of us actually do better to not start work until 10 or 11 a.m.
Oh, Des would agree with you with that. He's just said he's not
me.
going to actually start till 10 a.m.
Yeah. Some of us, so getting your abundance needs to come from unlocking your biology, which will then create your biological strength, your innate flow, and create growth on all spectrums of your health, wealth, mindset, lifestyle. Those 6 pillars of success are the key to unlocking everything for yourself, because there is no one size fits all in anything. And even within each of these 6 trends that I spoke of, you are a unique human. And if we were to color each of them, which they are, and then we laid them from a circle down to a flat line, and those colored pillars, everyone is a percentage of each of the 6. Okay, this is why everyone's unique and everyone has things that are very similar to each other and they might look completely different, because we all have similarities. But there is no one human that has the exact same percentages of each of the colors, so each of the physical trends. So even biological twins, if I put this cup here, you and I see a cup, but you and I do not see the same cup. So how this cup physiologically affects our biology is completely different. So even biological twins sitting at the same table will have the different environmental interaction. Therefore, their biology will be affected differently.
That's amazing. Absolutely amazing. So as we've been going for half an hour now, as we've doing that, I'm just wondering what would be the next step for somebody who really is very keen to find out what their biology is, how they can have more abundance through these 6 pillars. What's the next step for people to do, Sharna?
The next step for people is they're more than welcome to go check out the website, MECorp Health, MECORP Health, HEALTH.com. And in there you will see a whole bunch of amazing information about our company, but also you'll see our programs and packages. And in there you'll see our Ignition Starter program, which is a 3-month support program where you will get 8 one-on-one calls with us. 8 group calls, 2 one-on-ones, and you'll also have access to our community. And towards the end of it, the unique thing of MECorp Health is we are creating a biological empowered networking community. So once you've gone through the process, you'll actually be invited to create your biological bio. You will go into our networking page. So as people go through this, what we understand is that maybe I don't have to do everything myself, and maybe it's actually not good for me to do everything myself.
I love this. I love you find out what is not. I mean, I think we all know at times what's not resonant for us, but we can actually find through this, can cut through some of that. You're having to find it out yourself.
Yes. And from here, we can then go and network with the right people. So say you need a connector who is highly creative, great at multitasking, savvy at technology, and wonderful at branding. Well, you could actually go and find that person and their biology and know that when you hire that person, you're hiring them for their strengths, you're hiring them for being in their flow, and you're hiring them for being in their biological talent, so that you know that you're going to get the best out of them. And when you bring them in, what to expect and how, and you'll even know a bit more about their mannerisms and the way they are. They're the fun, the playful, they're the creatives. They're the happy, loving life of the room.
So I've just noticed a comment here from Julie Chapman. She says, so is it like DNA?
It is your DNA.
Yep. That's what I thought. Yeah. When we talked earlier, we had, the issue is our tissues, which I thought was lovely, which I've put up there. And it's about our cells. So it is. It's about our DNA.
Absolutely.
I think this is fascinating. I'm definitely going back to wherever those emails were that you sent me quite a while ago and explore that a bit more. And is there, I don't know, do you have a saying, or is there something
we do
you would love to leave the audience with?
Your purpose plus your vision times your genius equals your flow. And at Meet Health, we're about amplifying your genius and helping you to live your potential.
I love that. And what I love about this is being in flow. And I think that's why my painting is so important to me, because then I know I'm in flow. And I did a series last week, and one of them was about follow the flow. Yeah, so a perfect thing. I will put up your mission when I put it up. And I just want to thank you so much for being here today, Sharna. It's wonderful. It's been wonderful. I have learned more about, I keep hearing about epigenetics. Now I have a much better understanding of it. And I'm hoping for the people who've been watching. If you're watching the replay, just hashtag replay. And this, I will also be putting this on my stream on YouTube. So, and how to contact Sharna through her website. So as we finish today, as this is all, we're talking about loving ourselves into abundance, I like to finish with everybody, give yourself a big hug and just, love yourself into abundance. Look at your beautiful eyes and say, I love you. I really
love you.
And so many people forget to do that every day. All right. Oh, thank you, Julie. I'm an artistic creative. That's right. Absolutely. And I need to do more of it. And remember today to say yes to you, to love, and to life. And that will help expand your inner and your outer abundance as well. Thank you all for being here. Love you all. Namaste.
Namaste.